The rain-slicked streets of Brooklyn blurred into a gray smear as Lucas slammed his fist into the brick wall of the alley behind O'Malley's bar. The sharp crack of bone on stone echoing like a gunshot in his chest. "Fuck you, Ethan," he snarled to the empty night, his voice breaking on the name that tasted like bile, his stepbrother, the golden boy who'd stolen everything without even trying. Blood trickled warm down his knuckles, mixing with the downpour, but it was nothing compared to the storm raging inside him, the one that had been building since the day their parents' wedding vows turned his world upside down. He'd hated Ethan from that first forced family dinner, watching the asshole charm his mom with that easy smile. Like he hadn't just waltzed in from some privileged suburb with a trust fund and a future brighter than the Manhattan skyline. But tonight, after catching Ethan with his tongue down some frat boy's throat in the shadows of the campus quad, the betrayal hit like a freight train, because Ethan wasn't just perfect, he was a goddamn liar, hiding his own secrets while Lucas bled out his soul in silence. Lucas wiped the blood on his jeans and stumbled toward the subway, the F train rattling him home like an afterthought in the city's endless grind. His apartment? No. The shoebox his mom called home now that she'd shacked up with Ethan's dad in that sprawling brownstone up in Westchester, was a fifth-floor walk-up in Bed-Stuy. The kind of place where the radiator clanged like a bad hangover and the walls whispered secrets through thin plaster. He kicked the door open, the hinges screeching in protest, and collapsed onto the sagging couch that smelled faintly of his mom's cheap lavender candles and regret. His mom, Carla, was at her night shift at the diner, slinging hash browns to cabbies and insomniacs, her hands raw from endless dishwater. She'd married Richard 3 years ago, thinking it was her ticket out of scraping by on tips and child support that never came. "He's good people, Luce," she'd said, her eyes lighting up like they hadn't since his deadbeat dad split for Vegas with a cocktail waitress. "And Ethan's just... he's family now. Family." The words stuck in Lucas's throat like a fishbone. Ethan Harrington, heir to a real estate empire, captain of the lacrosse team at Columbia, with cheekbones that could cut glass and a laugh that made professors forget he'd skipped half his classes. Lucas, on the other hand, community college dropout, bartending at O'Malley's to pay for his graphic design dreams that felt as faded as the murals on the block. He cracked open a lukewarm beer from the mini fridge, the fizz hissing like suppressed rage, and scrolled through his phone. There it was, Ethan's Instagram, a highlight reel of yacht parties in the Hamptons, keg stands with bros in boat shoes, and that one shirtless shot from last summer, rippling abs under the Hamptons sun, a smirk that said I own the world. Lucas's thumb hovered over the like button before he hurled the phone across the room, the screen cracking against the wall. "Asshole," he muttered, but his voice cracked, betraying the twist in his gut that wasn't just hate. It was something sharper, like the way his skin prickled whenever Ethan clapped him on the back during those awkward family barbecues, his touch lingering a beat too long. The door buzzed, insistent, like it knew he was unraveling. Lucas dragged himself up, peering through the peephole at the distorted figure in the hall light. Ethan. Of course. Soaked to the bone, his designer jacket clinging like a second skin, blonde hair plastered to his forehead in a way that should have looked pathetic but somehow made him ethereal, like a fallen angel slumming it in the burrows. "What the hell do you want?" Lucas yanked the door open, his voice a low growl. Ethan's blue eyes, too blue, like stolen ocean, flickered with something raw, unguarded. "Can I come in? It's pouring. You live in a fucking mansion. Go home. Please." Lucas, The plea hung there, soft as the rain pattering against the fire escape. Ethan never said please. Not to waiters. Not to Ubers. Not to the world that bent over backward for him. Against every screaming instinct, Lucas stepped aside. Ethan dripped onto the linoleum, peeling off his jacket to reveal a white tee stretched taut over his chest, nipples pebbled from the cold. Lucas's gaze snagged there, heat flooding his face before he tore it away. Spit it out. I saw you tonight. With that douche from Sigma Chi. So what's the play? Slumming it with the pores now? Ethan winced, running a hand through his hair. It's not books? You don't get it. He paced the tiny living room, his loafers squelching, bumping into the stack of Lucas's sketchbooks piled like forgotten ambitions. One toppled open to a half-finished drawing, a shadowed figure, all sharp lines and haunted eyes, though he'd never admit it. Try me, Lucas snapped, crossing his arms to hide the tremor in his hands. You got the dad who actually sticks around? The Ivy League degree lined up? Girls, or guys, lining up to suck your dick? What don't I get? How you pretend to give a shit about this family while you're out there living your best life? Ethan stopped, his back to Lucas, shoulders rising and falling like he was fighting for air. When he turned, his face was a mask cracking at the edges, jaw tight, lips parted on a breath that carried the weight of unsaid storms. You think I have everything? Good. If only. His laugh was bitter, echoing off the peeling wallpaper. He sank onto the couch, elbows on knees, head in hands. Dad, Richard, he's not the hero you think. He hits Mom when the deals go south. Bottles her up like she's one of his properties. Lucas froze, the beer bottle slipping from his fingers to shatter on the floor. What, Carla, my mom, she'd tell me. Would she? Ethan's eyes lifted, red-rimmed, pleading. She's scared, Luce, of losing the roof over her head, of dragging you back into the shit we clawed out of. He swallowed hard, Adam's apple bobbing. And me? I'm the perfect son, right? The one who covers for him, smiles for the cameras. But every time he looks at me, it's like I'm the mistake he can't flip for profit. The room shrank, the air thick with the metallic tang of spilled beer and something deeper, vulnerability, sharp as broken glass. Lucas sank down beside him, close enough to feel the heat radiating off Ethan's body, to catch the faint scent of his cologne mixed with rain, cedar and salt, grounding and wild. Why tell me now, after 3 years of acting like I'm the help? Ethan's hand twitched, brushing Lucas's knee. Accidental? Electric. Because I saw you watching. Tonight. Not judging. But seeing me. For the first time. His voice dropped, a whisper laced with hunger. And it scared the shit out of me. Because I don't hate you, Lucas. I don't. Lucas jerked back, heart hammering like a bass drop at a warehouse rave. But the pull was there. Magnetic. Forbidden, the stepbrother line blurring into something dangerous. Alive. He wanted to shove Ethan away, to scream that this was just another rich kid pity play. But those eyes held him, stripping bare the armor he'd forged from years of being the invisible kid in a too big world. Instead, he leaned in, breath mingling, and murmured, "Show me. Prove it's not bullshit." Ethan's lips crashed into his then, desperate and tasting of rain and regret, a kiss that shattered the hate like cheap glass, leaving only the raw edges of want. Lucas's hands fisted in Ethan's shirt, pulling him closer, the world narrowing to the press of bodies on that thrift store couch, the city lights flickering like distant stars through the grimy window. It was messy, urgent, tongues tangling in a battle neither wanted to win. Ethan's fingers traced the scars on Lucas's knuckles from too many bar fights, mapping pain like it was poetry, while Lucas bit down on Ethan's lower lip, drawing a gasp that vibrated through them both. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together, the silence heavy with what they'd unleashed. "This changes everything," Ethan whispered, his hands still cupping Lucas's jaw, thumb stroking the stubble there like a promise. "Yeah," Lucas replied, voice rough as gravel. And nothing at all. But as Ethan slipped out into the night, leaving a ghost of warmth on the couch, Lucas knew the lie in that. The hate had cracked open, spilling something sweeter, more treacherous, need. And in the underbelly of New York, where dreams drowned in the Hudson and secrets festered like open wounds, that was the most dangerous thing of all. The next morning dawned gray and unforgiving, the kind of November chill that seeped into your bones and stayed there. Lucas woke to the buzz of his alarm, 6 a.m. Time to drag his ass to O'Malley's for the breakfast shift. His lips still tingled from the night before, bruised and swollen, a secret branded under his skin. He stared at the ceiling cracks mapping out like fault lines, replaying the kiss in loops that left him hard and hollow. Stepbrother. The word mocked him from the shadows. Taboo as fuck. But in a city that chewed up norms and spat out reinventions, who gave a shit? Except everyone would. Richard with his Wall Street glare, Carla with her fragile hope, they'd shatter this family worse than it already was. He showered cold, the water needling his skin like accusations, and dressed in his uniform, black tee, jeans worn soft at the knees, boots scuffed from too many miles on concrete. The subway was a sardine can of strangers, harried execs in suits, moms with toddlers, a drag queen in full regalia belting show tunes under her breath. Lucas pressed against the door, sketching mental lines on the back of a napkin in his pocket, Ethan's profile, sharp and shadowed, a forbidden masterpiece. O'Malley's was a dive in Greenpoint, all sticky floors and neon signs buzzing like trapped flies. The owner, a grizzled Irishman with a soft spot for strays, nodded as Lucas clocked in. "You look like hell." "Rough night." Something like that. Lucas tied on his apron, the fabric rough against his hips, and dove into the rush, eggs over easy, bacon crisp, coffee black as sin. The regulars bantered, Joey the plumber griping about leaky pipes, Rosa the nurse trading shifts for her kids' tuition, but Lucas's mind wandered, snagging on Ethan's confession. Richard hitting his mom? The golden boy covering tracks? It didn't square with the Ethan who'd shown up at Lucas's high school graduation 2 years back. All pressed khakis and awkward hugs, handing over a leather-bound sketchbook like it was no big deal. "Knew you were the artist type," he'd said, that smile disarming as a loaded gun. By noon, the place thinned out, and Lucas stepped into the alley for a smoke, the brick warm against his back despite the bite in the air. His phone vibrated. "Ethan." "Lunch? My treat." Neutral ground. Lucas's thumb hovered, pulse kicking up. "Fuck it." He typed back, "Diner on Bedford." 1 p.m. Don't be late, Prince. The diner was a relic. Formica counters chipped like old teeth. Jukebox crooning Springsteen. Ethan slid into the booth 5 minutes early, looking too polished for the vinyl seats, Oxford shirt unbuttoned at the collar, exposing the hollow of his throat. "Hey," he said, voice low, eyes scanning Lucas like he was memorizing every freckle. "Hey yourself." Lucas slid a menu over, but his gaze stuck on Ethan's mouth, the faint swell from last night's bite. Heat coiled low in his belly. "So, about your dad. Not here." Ethan's foot nudged his under the table. A secret Morse code. "Later. Tonight. Come to the house. Everyone's out, Dad's in DC. Your mom's pulling doubles." Lucas's fork paused midair, grease from the fries cooling on the tines. The house. That monstrosity of glass and steel in Westchester, with its infinity pool overlooking the sound and rooms that echoed like museums. He'd only been there a handful of times, always feeling like an intruder in his own life. "And if I say no?" Ethan's smile was slow, sinful. "You won't." His hand brushed Lucas's across the table, fingers lacing just long enough to spark fire. "Because you want this as bad as I do." The truth burned. Lunch blurred into flirtation, stolen glances, knees pressing, words laced with double meanings. Ethan paid with a black card that made the waitress's eyes widen, and as they stepped into the crisp air, he pulled Lucas into a shadowed doorway, kissing him slow and deep, like they had all the time in the world. Tongues slid lazy, hands roaming under jackets, mapping ribs and hips. A car horn blared nearby, yanking them apart, breathless and grinning like idiots. "See you at 8, Ethan murmured, nipping Lucas's earlobe before vanishing into a waiting Uber. Lucas walked the miles back to the subway in a daze, the city pulsing around him, vendors hawking chestnuts, tourists snapping selfies at the bridges. For the first time, Brooklyn didn't feel like a cage. It felt like possibility. But possibility had teeth. That night, as the Metro-North chugged him north, doubt gnawed. What if this was just Ethan's rebellion? A thrill to spice up his perfect life? Lucas pressed his forehead to the cool window, watching suburbs roll by like movie sets, manicured lawns, glowing porches. The Harrington house loomed at the end of a cul-de-sac, all modernist lines and floodlights that made him squint. Ethan answered the door barefoot, in sweats that hung low on his hips, a glass of red in hand. "You came." His grin was boyish, unguarded. Traffic was a bitch. Lucas toed off his boots, the marble floor cold under his socks. The house smelled of leather and lemon polish, a far cry from his mom's fried onions and desperation. Ethan led him to the basement rec room, pool table, flat screen the size of a billboard, minibars stocked like a speakeasy. "Ignore the excess," he said, pouring Lucas a scotch neat. "It's all facade." They played pool. The clack of balls a rhythm to their banter, Ethan trash-talking Lucas's form, Lucas retorting with jabs about trust fund shots. Laughter came easy, loosening the knots in Lucas's chest. One game bled into another, shirts discarded in the heat of competition, until Ethan missed a bank shot and crowed victory anyway, tackling Lucas onto the leather sectional. Pinned beneath him, Lucas's breath hitched. Ethan's weight was solid, grounding, chest heaving, sweat-slick skin glowing under the recessed lights. "Cheater," Lucas growled. But his hands betrayed him, sliding up Ethan's back, nails digging crescents. "Guilty." Ethan's mouth found his neck, teeth grazing the pulse point, drawing a moan Lucas couldn't stifle. Clothes shed in a frenzy, sweats pooling on the floor, jeans kicked aside, until it was skin on skin, urgent and reverent. Ethan's hands were everywhere, tracing the tattoo on Lucas's ribcage, a Brooklyn Bridge in ink, symbol of unbreakable spans. Palming his ass, stroking him slow until Lucas arched, cursing in broken syllables. They moved together like they'd rehearsed it, Ethan's mouth hot on Lucas's cock. Tongue swirling promises, Lucas flipping them. Sucking marks into Ethan's thighs. Tasting salt and surrender. When Ethan pushed inside him, slow and stretching, it was agony and ecstasy, eyes locked in a gaze that stripped souls bare. "Lucas," Ethan gasped, hip snapping. "You're fuck everything." Climax hit like a wave crashing the shore, leaving them tangled and trembling, breaths sinking in the afterglow. Ethan pulled Lucas close, lips brushing his temple. "Stay," he whispered. "Just tonight." Lucas did. Curled against Ethan's side, listening to the house creak like it approved, he let himself believe in this fragile bridge they'd built. But bridges, he knew, could burn. Weeks blurred into a secret rhythm. Stolen moments stitched into the fabric of their lives like hidden seams. Lucas's shifts at O'Malley's stretched long. Grease and small talk his armor. But his phone lit up with Ethan's texts. "Miss your mouth? Dad's out? Come over. Drew you in class today," each one a spark to the dry tinder of his days. They'd meet in Ethan's dorm at Columbia, the quad's ancient oaks whispering cover for hurried kisses, or in Lucas's apartment when Carla pulled overnights, the bed frame banging protests against the wall. It was intoxicating, this thing between them, raw, uncharted. Ethan was insatiable, hands mapping Lucas's body like a cartographer gone mad, fingers tracing the scar on his hip from a skateboarding wipeout at 14, tongue laving the dip of his collarbone until Lucas begged. In return, Lucas learned Ethan's tells, the hitch in his breath when vulnerability crept in, the way he'd tense at mentions of Richard, then melt under distraction of lips and limbs. They fucked like it was rebellion. Slow and worshipful one night, frantic and clawing the next, bodies slick with sweat and the city's humid breath seeping through cracked windows. But love, because that's what it was, creeping in like fog off the East River, demanded more than skin. Late nights, post-coital haze turning confessional. Ethan spilled the rot beneath the Harrington polish. Dad's rages started when Mom got sick, he'd murmur, tracing patterns on Lucas's chest. "Cancer. Stage 3. Chemo bills buried us." So he doubled down on deals, flipping foreclosures in the Bronx, squeezing tenants like toothpaste. When the money dried up, the bottle took over. First it was yelling, fists. Ethan's voice would fracture, eyes distant as Hudson sunsets. I was 12 the first time he swung at me for spilling scotch on his Armani. Mom made excuses, stress, the market, but I saw the bruises she hid under turtlenecks. Lucas's gut twisted, hate for Richard blooming hot and thorny. He'd press closer, kissing the faded marks on Ethan's ribs, souvenirs from a lacrosse accident that never happened. "Why stay? You're 18. Bail. And leave her?" Ethan's laugh was shards of glass. She's all I got that's real. Besides, his gaze would soften, thumbs stroking Lucas's jaw. Now you. The words landed like punches, tender, devastating. Lucas, who'd armored himself against affection since his dad bailed, felt cracks spiderwebbing his walls. He started sketching Ethan in earnest, not the Instagram facade, but the real him, hair tousled from sleep, laugh lines crinkling genuine, body lax in repose. Pages filled with charcoal studies, Ethan's hands splayed on the pillow, fingers curled like invitations, his profile against the dorm window, city lights gilding his lashes. For you, Lucas murmured one dawn, sliding the sketchbook across the rumpled sheets. Ethan's eyes missed it, pulling him down for a kiss that tasted of forever. Yet shadows loomed. Family dinners turned minefields, Richard's booming laugh masking the whiskey on his breath, Carla's forced cheer as she passed the mashed potatoes. Ethan and Lucas played their parts, stepbrothers trading barbs over seconds of pie, feet tangling under the table in coded agony. Richard clapped Ethan on the back too hard, the slap echoing like judgment. Heard you're seeing that sorority girl. Son, about time you settled. Ethan's smile was plastic, his hand finding Lucas's thigh under the linen, squeezing reassurance even as bile rose. Afterward, in the guest room, Lucas crashed into Save on Gas. They collided like comets, fucking against the four-poster, muffling moans into pillows monogrammed with H. He doesn't know, Ethan panted, buried deep, hips grinding slow. About us. About me, Lucas arched, nails raking Ethan's back. Then tell him. Burn it down. Can't. The admission broke on a thrust. Ethan's control fraying. He'd disown me. Cut the strings. And Mom's medical goes poof. The weight of it settled, heavy as winter fog. Lucas held him through the aftershocks, whispering nonsense into sweat-damp hair, promises of escape, of Brooklyn lofts and freelance gigs, of a life unyoked from legacies. But doubt festered. Was this love? Or just a bandage on Ethan's wounds? Lucas caught himself staring in mirrors, green eyes shadowed with questions. Am I enough? Or just the poor kid thrill? Thanksgiving loomed like a guillotine, the holiday forcing proximity in the Westchester sprawl. Carla fluttered like a bird in a cage, basting the turkey while Richard nursed scotch in the den, Fox News droning about tariffs. Ethan pulled Lucas aside in the mudroom, coats shedding rain like confessions. Run with me tomorrow? Before the bird. Dawn patrol. Lucas grinned, despite the knot in his chest. You're on. Rich boy. The estate's trails wound through woods gilded autumnal, leaves crunching under Nikes as they jogged side by side, breaths puffing clouds. Away from eyes. Hands brushed, then clasped, fingers interlocking like puzzle pieces. They crested a hill overlooking the sound, the water slate gray and restless. Ethan stopped, tugging Lucas close. Marry me, he said, half joking, half desperate, a cheap mood ring glinting in his palm, blue for calm, but shifting. Lucas laughed. Throw tight. Stepbrothers tying the knot? Mom would stroke out, but he slipped it on, the metal cool against his knuckle, and kissed Ethan fierce, tongues dueling amid the rustle of oaks. They dropped to the damp earth, making love under the open sky, Ethan on top, shielding Lucas from the chill, bodies sinking to the rhythm of distant waves. It was poetry. This union, Lucas's moan swallowed by Ethan's shoulder, release crashing like thunder. Back at the house, sated and secret-flushed, the ring tucked in his pocket, Lucas felt invincible. Until dinner. Richard carved the bird with surgical precision, steam rising like ghosts. Conversation flowed rote, Carla gushing over Ethan's grades, Richard boasting a new high-rise in Midtown. Then, eyes glassy, he turned to Lucas. "And you, son? Still pouring drinks? Thought you'd have your shit together by now." The table stilled. Carla's fork clinked. Ethan's foot pressed Lucas's ankle, steady. "Working on it," Lucas replied. Voice even. "Design side hustle. Pays the bills." Richard snorted. "Hustle. That's cute." Ethan's got internships lined up at Goldman. "Real money." His gaze sharpened on Ethan. "Don't fuck it up like your mother did." The barb landed. Venomous. Ethan's jaw clenched, knuckles white on his napkin. Carla changed the subject to pie. But the air soured, tension coiling like smoke. Later, as plates cleared, Richard cornered Ethan in the study, door ajar, voices leaking like blood. Lucas hovered in the hall, heart pounding. "You're soft, boy," Richard slurred. "Hanging with that gutter rat stepbrother. Pull your head out, focus on the girl. The future." "He's not," Ethan started, voice cracking. "Save it. I know that look." "Faggot shit? Not in this family." A thud, fist on desk. "I'll bury you first." Lucas's blood iced. He slipped away before Ethan emerged, face ashen, but the words burrowed deep, festering. That night, in the guest room, Ethan came to him wild-eyed, stripping Lucas with frantic hands. "Forget it," he gasped, sinking to his knees, mouth hot and pleading. They fucked rough, edges bleeding into pain, Lucas topping, thrusts punishing unspoken fears. Ethan's cries muffled into the mattress. But release brought no peace. Ethan curled fetal, whispering, "I can't lose you." "But I can't." "Not yet." Lucas held him, the ring a talisman in his fist. "We fight," he vowed. "Together." But because betrayal brews in silences, and Richard's shadow stretched long. December dusted the city in frost, Christmas lights twinkling like false stars. Lucas's world tilted on its axis one sleet-lashed night. Phone buzzing at to him, "Carla." Voice splintered. "Come home. Now." The apartment reeked of copper and fear when he burst in. Paramedics milled. Carla huddled on the stoop in her robe, eyes hollow. "Ethan." He tried to. The hospital was a fluorescent purgatory, beeps and bleach. Families murmuring in vinyl chairs. Richard paced the ER waiting room. Sue rumpled, face thunderous. "Fucking idiot," he muttered, spotting Lucas. "Your influence." "Fuck you," Lucas snarled, shoving past to the curtain bay. Ethan lay pale as snow, wrists bandaged, 4 dripping sedatives. His eyes fluttered open, locking on Lucas with shattered glass clarity. "Sorry," he whispered, voice raw. "Couldn't. The pressure. Dad found the ring in my bag." Called me every name. Said he'd cut Mom off. Expose us. I just... Shoo. Lucas climbed onto the bed, careful of tubes, cradling Ethan's head to his chest. You're enough. Always were. Tears burned tracks down his cheeks. Hot and unbidden. Nurses bustled. But the world shrank to this, Ethan's breath feathering his shirt. A lifeline in the storm. Richard loomed later. After sedation pulled Ethan under. This stays quiet, he hissed. Breath sour. Therapy? Not that queer shit. Or I ruin him. Lucas's fists balled. Touch him again. And I'll end you. The threat hung. A gauntlet thrown. As dawn bled pink through blinds, Lucas kissed Ethan's forehead, salt and promise, and plotted war. Rehab was a sterile cage in Connecticut. All group circles and herbal tea. The kind of place rich folks sent their messes to dry out without scandal. Ethan checked involuntarily. Richard's lawyers spinning it as exhaustion from finals. But Lucas saw the truth in the goodbye, Ethan's grip bruising his arms. Lips bruising harder. A kiss that tasted of desperation and dregs of hospital jello. 2 weeks, Ethan vowed. Voice muffled against Lucas's neck. Then we run. Mom's on board, I'll tell her everything. Carla knew fragments now. Pieced from the ER fallout. She'd shown up at Lucas's shift the day after. Face gaunt under the diner's fluorescence. Sliding into a booth with coffee she didn't drink. He loves you, she'd said. No preamble. Eyes searching his like he held the map to salvation. And you him. Don't let my mistakes bury that. Lucas had nodded, throat clogged, and hugged her fierce, first real embrace since he was a kid stealing her lipstick for watercolor paints. We'll fix this. Ma. Promise. But promises fray in vacuums. With Ethan gone, the city closed in. A concrete maw. Lucas threw himself into work, slinging drinks till his arms ached, sketching till pencils snapped. He'd prowl Brooklyn's underbelly, underground galleries in Bushwick, where queer artists daubed rainbows on reclaimed wood, or leather bars in the Village, where twinks and daddies grinded to throbbing bass. He flirted. Let hands roam to drown the ache. But it rang hollow, bodies not Ethan's, laughs not his lilt. Richard's shadow lengthened. Calls came unbidden, keep your distance. He's fragile. Then, silkier, drop the drama, and there's a check in it for you. College fund. Whatever. Lucas deleted voicemails. Blocked numbers. But paranoia bloomed. One night, tail lights trailed his subway exit, black Escalade. Tinted like secrets. He bolted blocks. Heart jackhammering. Bursting into O'Malley's to mix raised brow. X, the old man grunted. Pouring a shot. Worse. The devil's errand boy. Mick slid the glass over. Feds got nothing on family poison. But you got fire. Use it. Fire. Lucas nursed the whiskey, flames licking his resolve. He started digging late nights on his laptop. Public records a rabbit hole of liens and lawsuits. Richard Harrington, kingpin of evictions, foreclosing on immigrant families for pennies. His empire built on bones. Whispers on Reddit threads, tenants vanished. Complaints buried. And the abuse? Forum ghosts, ex-employees alleging assaults. A settled suit from Ethan's mom hushed with NDAs. Lucas compiled files. A digital Molotov. Emailing copies to a journalist contact from his design forums. Anonymous tip. Blow it open. Christmas Eve. Snow blanketing the boroughs like absolution. Lucas trekked to Westchester uninvited. The house glowed festive, wreaths on gates. Sinatra crooning from speakers, but inside, it was mausoleum quiet. Carl answered. Robe belted tight. Eyes puffy. Luce. He's still away. I know. He stepped in. Shedding coat. The ring heavy in his pocket. Came for you. She led him to the kitchen, where pie sat cooling on wire racks, pecan and pumpkin. Traditions clinging like barnacles. Richard's in the city. Holiday gala. Schmoozing senators. Her laugh was brittle. Always the showman. Lucas poured. Hands steady. The show's over. Ma. Ethan's told me. Everything. The hits. The hiding. Her cup rattled in saucer. I stayed for him. For you boys. Thought love fixed fractures. Tears welled. Spilling over. But it don't. It just scars prettier. He pulled her into his arms, rocking like she had him through fevers and fatherless nights. We're leaving. All of us. Ethan's money, his trust. The one Richard can't touch. We'll pool it. Start fresh. Maybe. Or out west, where the air's cleaner. She pulled back, searching his face. And Richard. Fuck him. The words landed soft. Revolutionary. We burn the bridge. They talked till stars wheeled overhead, plans sketched on napkins. Escape routes mapped. Carla's resolve hardened. A phoenix in flannel. Tomorrow, she said, hugging tight. Peek up Ethan. We're gone by New Year's. Dawn brought a call, Ethan's number. But voice not his, clinical. Detached. Mr. Reyes? This is Dr. Ellis from Silver Oaks. Your brothers had a possible discharge delay. Lucas's blood chilled. What setback? Confidential. But he's stable. Family conference advised. He raced the train. Snow whipping the windows. Arriving to locked gates and security nods. The lobby smelled of pine and pills. A receptionist buzzing him to a consult room. Ethan waited there. Not bandaged but broken, eyes dull. Posture slumped in a too-big sweater. Richard flanked him. Arm proprietary on his shoulder. A lawyer-type scribbling notes. Loose, Ethan breathed. Surging up. But Richard's grip tightened. A vice. Sit, the doctor intoned. Gesturing chairs. Ethan's expressed. Thus. About external influences complicating recovery. Doubts. The word eviscerated. Lucas's gaze snapped to Ethan. Pleading, what the fuck? I can't do this, Ethan mumbled. Not meeting his eyes. The family. It's too much. Richard's smile was shark sleek. Therapy breakthrough. Realizing priorities. Betrayal hit like a sucker punch. Air evacuating lungs. Lucas stood. Chair scraping. You lying sack. To Ethan, this him? Or the poison? Ethan flinched. Tears tracking. Go. Lucas. Please. The lawyer slid papers across. NDA. Payoff, 6 figures for silence. Signed. And vanish. Rage boiled. Vision tunneling. Lucas swept the table, papers flying, coffee splashing, and lunged for Richard, fist connecting with jaw in a satisfying crunch. Alarms wailed, orderlies swarming. "You break him?" Lucas roared. Restrained. "I'll fucking end you," Ethan sobbed. "Stop." But it was Richard's hand on his knee, anchoring, as Lucas was dragged out, snow swallowing his curses. Brooklyn welcomed him back with indifferent slush. The apartment a tomb. He punched walls till knuckles split anew. Then curled on the couch, ring clutched like a grenade pin. Betrayal festered, Ethan's folded posture replaying. Words a knife twist. "Can't do this." Was it all a ploy? The confessions, a rich boy's game. Lucas the disposable pawn? Carla called it midnight. Voice quaking. Richard confessed. The pills, he slipped them in Ethan's water. To make him pliable. Said it was, for his own good. The world tilted. Where's Ethan? Locked down. Private wing. I signed the papers. Luce. For the money. To get us out quiet. No. Horror clawed. We fight. Can't. Sobs choked her. He's got lawyers. Evidence. Yes. The ring. Says you're the predator. Predator. The inversion burned. Lucas hung up, dialing the journalist, pull the trigger. Now. New Year's Eve dawn brittle. Fireworks distant thunder. Lucas met the contact, a wiry woman named Dana. Chain-smoking in a Williamsburg cafe. "This Harrington? Dirty as sin," she said. Scanning files. Abuse claims. Tax dodges. Front page fodder. Run it. Bury him. By nightfall. Alerts pinged. Real estate mogul Richard Harrington faces abuse allegations in explosive lawsuit. Anonymous sources. Tenant testimonies. Carlos. Slipped through back channels. The empire cracked. Stocks tumbling like dominoes. Ethan called at 11:55 p.m. Voice a ghost. "Luce? It's out." He's raging. But free. The doctors released me. I'm coming home. The word mended fractures. To me. Always. Static crackled. Then clarity. I fought the fog. Told them everything. He's done. Lucas's knees buckled. Relief flooding. Hurry. Midnight struck. Brooklyn erupting in cheers and pops. Ethan arrived at 12:47. Taxi screeching. Bursting through the doors snow-dusted and desperate. They collided mid-stride, kiss salt-sweet with tears. Hands frantic. Stripping layers till bare. "Forgive me," Ethan gasped. Against Lucas's throat. Nothing to forgive. Lucas walked him backward to the bed. Worshipping with mouth and fingers. Kisses to bandage scars. Strokes coaxing moans like confessions. They made love slow. Reverent, Ethan riding him. Eyes locked. Hips rolling waves, Lucas flipping. Burying deep. Whispers of mine and stay. Climax built tectonic. Shattering in shared cries. Bodies arching as one. Tangled in sheets thin as hope. Ethan traced Lucas's ring finger, bare now. "Marry me still?" Lucas grinned. Fierce. "Hell yes." Courthouse. Tomorrow. Dawn painted them gold. A new year unfurling. But scars lingered, human and humbling. Spring thawed the scars, tentative as crocuses pushing through concrete. Richard's empire crumbled in slow motion, lawsuits multiplying like roaches. Board ousting him in a bloodless coup. Whispers of indictments circling like vultures. He vanished to some Caribbean bolt hole. Alimony checks bouncing like bad jokes, leaving the brownstone a hollow shell. Carla sold it. Proceeds split, half to her diner franchise dreams in Queens, half to a trust for the boys, as she called them. Winking over coffee. Ethan and Lucas married in a fever dream of a ceremony, City Hall. June heat wave turning the marble halls to saunas. Witnesses, Mick in a ill-fitting suit. Grumbling blessings, Dana. The journalist. Snapping candids with her phone. Vows were simple. Etched in sweat and certainty, in all the broken parts. I choose you. Rings exchanged, silver bands engraved with Brooklyn bridges, sealing promises amid the clerk's indifferent stamp. Honeymoon was a road trip west. Amtrak to California. Chasing sunsets over the Sierras. They bickered over playlists, Ethan's indie folk clashing Lucas's hip-hop anthems, fucked in motel rooms with neon buzz. Bodies mapping new territories, dusty trails in Yosemite, where Ethan dropped to knees amid wildflowers. Mouth devouring Lucas till he saw stars, Pacific tide pools. Waves lapping as Lucas pinned him to sand. Thrusts sinking with surf. Back in New York. Life wove practical threads. Ethan deferred Columbia. Enrolling in community psych courses, gonna help the messes. Not be 1 inch, while interning at a queer youth center in Harlem. Lucas's designs took off. Freelance gigs for album covers and murals. To style, gritty lines. Emotional undercurrents, catching eyes in Soho galleries. They rented a loft in Dumbo. Exposed brick and river views. Filling it with thrift finds, a king bed for marathons of skin and stories. Shelves groaning under art books and Ethan's dog-eared Auden. But healing wasn't linear, nightmares stalked. Ethan's came first, Richard's silhouette in dreams. Fist raised. Waking him thrashing. Sobs muffled into Lucas's chest. He'll come back, he'd whisper. Terror raw. Lucas held him. Murmuring anchors, gone. We're the Empire now. His own ghosts surfaced in quieter ways, doubts whispering not enough during dry spells. When Ethan's gaze wandered to glossy mags of escape. One night, post-argument over dishes, Ethan's messiness clashing Lucas's order. He stormed to the fire escape. City hum a lullaby. Ethan followed, wrapping arms from behind. I see you, he said. Chin on shoulder. The pain you hid. Thinking I had it easy. But we balance. Yeah. Your fire. My flood. Tears pricked. Love you. Asshole. Love you more. Carla thrived in Queens. Diner blooming into a chain, Riz refuge. Rainbow flags fluttering. Half off for LGBTQ+ nights. She dated a mechanic named Sal. Gentle hands and bad puns. Their wedding a backyard affair 6 months later. Lucas best man. Ethan teary officiant. Toasts toasting second chances. Yet humanity's hue demanded shadows. The urine. Ethan's mom, Margaret. Frail but fierce, emerged from remission. Chemo a rearview specter. She visited the loft. Appraising their life with eyes like thawed lakes. You saved him, she told Lucas. Hands clasped over tea. From the monster I couldn't flee. To Ethan, proud. Baby. So damn proud. Her death came gentle. Autumn leaves turning. Hospice bed by the sound. They scattered ashes at dawn. Ethan's hand in Lucas's. Waves claiming her like a lover's call. Grief hollowed him weeks after, meals untouched. Sketches abandoned. Lucas coaxed him through therapy doubles. Midnight drives to Coney Island. Boardwalks creaking underfoot as they ate hot dogs and confessed fears. She saw us, Ethan said one night. Head on Lucas's lap. Fairy horns moaning distant. Approved. And us. Lucas carded fingers through blonde waves. Still hating, Ethan's laugh bubbled. Healing. Never did. Maybe. Your grit? The realness. Thought you hated me for the facade. Facade's gone. Lucas tilted his chin. Kissing soft. Just us. Summer swelled. Anniversary marked with tattoos. Matching bridges on inner wrists. Ink ceiling spans. Lucas's career crested. A mural commission for the youth center. Vibrant queer icons exploding color on brick. Ethan's thesis on familial trauma earned nods. A podcast invite that went viral. Voices like there's amplifying silences. But climax brewed unbidden. Richard Richefist, tabloid fodder. Extradited on fraud. Trial a circus in federal court. He wrote from Rikers, letters to Ethan. Oily pleas for visits. Family loyalty. Ethan burned them in the sink. Flames dancing accusatory. But doubt lingered. What if he wins appeal? Poisons again? Lucas faced him square. Bridges inked between them. Then we fight. Witnesses? Tapes, Dana's got the dirt. But he's a ghost now. We choose light. The trial dragged autumn into winter. Headlines a barrage. Tycoon testifies. Abuse or ambition? Ethan testified last, voice steady. Scars bared in open court. He broke us to build himself, he said. Eyes on the bench. Not the man in orange. Richard's glare scorched. But justice landed, 20 years. Empire ashes. Paparazzi swarmed. But Lucas shielded Ethan. Arms slung possessive. Flashing rings to the flashes. Stepbrothers no more, he quipped to a mic. Grin defiant. Husbands. Headlines shifted, from hate to heart, the Harrington redemption. Winter solstice. They hosted Carla and Sal, feast of tamales and eggnog. Trees strung with lights like fireflies. Laughter echoed. Filling voids. Later. Ethan traced Lucas's tattoos. Voice husky. Pain behind it all. But look, beauty. Lucas pulled him atop. Slow burn igniting. Human as fuck. They moved languid. Familiar, kisses mapping miles. Hands knowing every curve. Ethan's mouth trailed fire down chest. Tongue dipping navel. Drawing gasps, Lucas reciprocated. Sucking bruises like love letters. Fingers curling inside till Ethan keened. Entry was homecoming, unhurried. Eyes weaving spells. Release crested shared. Breaths mingling in I love yous. Bodies collapsing into one. Dawn found them entwined. City stirring below. Lucas woke first. Watching Ethan sleep, face slack. Lashes fanning cheeks. The boy behind the pain. A lifetime ago. Compassion, for the broken boy who'd hidden oceans. For the man who'd chosen vulnerability. Snow fell soft, blanketing sins. They rose to coffee and plans, therapy group for survivors, a cabin rental in the Catskills. Unscripted, unfolded, arguments over grocery lists, lazy Sundays sketching nudes, quiet nights where silence spoke volumes. In the end, it wasn't happily ever after, no fairy dust, just flesh and forgiveness. They learned the pain behind everything, the everything behind love. And in New York's relentless pulse, they thrived, bridges unburned, spans eternal. Humanity's gift, seeing souls, not surfaces. Lucas knew that now. Holding Ethan's hand as they walked the bridge at dusk. Manhattan glittering promise. Everything, he murmured. Ethan squeezed. Ours.